Hello, hello, and welcome to the Color Whisperer Show. So, today we have a very special guest, and we're going to have fun today. You may have seen The Big Bang Theory, and it's fun with flags. We're going to have fun with food. I love Cheryl because she's as colorful. Actually, she's more colorful than I am, truthfully. She wears so many more colors than I do, but she's a spring, so she gets to do that. And she believes in color with food. Why are we eating all the same color on our plate? Color is such an important part of our being, not just in what we wear and what we surround ourselves, but what we're filling it with. And food, the old phrase, you are what you eat. Well, she's going to show us some tips on how we can eat better and be better. So, welcome, Cheryl.
Thank you. Lovely to be here.
It's so exciting to have you here. Oh, so you've got so many things that are going on. Let's start with your story. So, how did you even like what got you into all this colorful food?
Okay, I was a jeweler, and yep, I was making colorful jewelry. I have always been into the rainbow. I was traveling all over the world. I was manufacturing in Asia, and I was doing everything to be successful except take care of me. And I crashed and burned because I was not eating correctly, sleeping correctly, moving my body, and dealing with my stress. By the time I crashed, I had almost no cortisol left in my body, and I was on the borderline of something called Addison's disease. My doctor had no clue what was wrong with me. I had a great staff, turned my business over to them, and dug in and tripped into what's known as the functional medical community, who at the time, which was 11 years ago, were running 11, 12 um, different webinars with multiple doctors about why they became functional because they got sick and couldn't help themselves. So I listened to all of them and wrote down the threads. One thing was toxic load. So I started thinking, that's possible because I was born in Pittsburgh. I was loaded with heavy toxic metals at one point, something to look into. Food. I knew I was eating the standard American diet, and it actually resonated with me that my problem partly was that I wasn't eating enough real food. So I dug into that. I didn't even know what the difference was between organic, conventional, and genetically modified. And like Jeanette, at the time I was living in California, we'd had GMO on the ballot, but there was so much misinformation around genetically modified foods. All I was confused. I didn't know what it was. So I dug into that. And there's a giant database in the sky called EWG.org. And I started looking up everything in my life for how high of a toxic load did it have. First thing I looked up was my face makeup. It was a 9 on a 10-point scale. So I was poisoning myself right through my skin, and our skin is our largest organ. So I started looking for lower toxic items as I was discovering all the high toxic items that I was using. And at one point, I got really frustrated. Why was my government not protecting me? But I decided I have the right to protect myself. So it was my responsibility to educate myself and to change.
Because
One of the early people I found
isn't that what
was
the
a woman named Dr. Deanna Minch, and she is the Rainbow Queen. And I have adopted everything I learned from her, which is why it's so important to eat every color of the rainbow because every color has a different gift for the body. And the colors, my soul responded to all the colors. So I started looking for all the colors to put on my plate, and if not all my meals, at least very close together when I was eating food. And it took me 5 years doing all this stuff to return back to health. But what it ended up I had, which my conventional doctor had no clue about, was fibromyalgia. And today I am autoimmune happy because whatever was bothering me is no longer. And I think it is largely attributed to the diet that I eat. So that's where I start. I actually, at 67, returned to school because I was having conversations with people everywhere I went because I was excited about what I had learned and how I was feeling better as I entered my 70s than I did back in my 50s. And I wanted to share that with everybody. So today I'm a certified health coach and I help people find their puzzle pieces to return to health. And we always start with food as the foundational piece. And what happens is there's something in food called phytonutrients. 11 years ago, they were just discovering them and they thought maybe there were 10,000 of them. Well, it ends up now they think there's over 100,000 of them. They're not in the plant food for us, they're in the plant food for the plant. So they'll make it so the deer won't eat it or something else won't get it. And yet, when we eat the right ones, there's a couple that aren't good for us, but most of them are. And when we eat them in combination, they have a little party in your body and they create health. And you need all the colors because the real synergy happens when they're all together, helping your metabolism become all that it can be to give you energy and health. So that's why I call myself the Rainbow Princess, but I'm known as the Health Muse because I want to inspire you to feel as good as I do because it feels good to feel good and I'm not going back.
Yay! No, and it's very difficult to find the right products because, like, I mean, I've done different diets through the years, of course, but like they sneak sugar in a lot of different ways, and they sneak chemicals in like natural flavors. Sounds like a good thing, right?
Yeah, no, not.
No, no.
No,
So
what
that
I teach is if you don't know what the word is on the label or you can't pronounce it, you put it back on the shelf. And natural flavors, do you know what a natural flavor is? I
do tell.
didn't. And what it ends up it mostly is, not always, is MSG, which is a brain neurotoxin. And they actually hide it under something like 70 different names on the label because they know we know that MSG is not good for us and they don't want us to be realizing that and not eating their food. Ultra processed food is all chemicals. I was appalled. It's made to sound like, taste like, look like, smell like, taste like, but none of it's real. And the taste part is really problematic because it dulls our real taste buds. Because if we could taste that food, it would be god awful. And because of that, people will say to me, but I don't like to eat vegetables. Well, when you detox off of all that, I call it crap,
Yeah.
carbonated, refined, artificial, processed. When you detox off that stuff, you get your taste buds back. I've had clients call me from a farmer's market and go, hey, I just ate a cucumber. Oh my God, was that delicious? I mean, we're talking a cucumber because we don't know what real food tastes like because they've ruined it.
And on so many levels, and even trying to find the organic stuff is difficult
In
because
California, now I
people
just left
what
where Jeanette lives.
I'm
In
sorry.
California, where I lived, we had a huge, fabulous farmers market. And California grows most of the food for the country. I don't know if you know that. And I have now moved to Arizona, and it's a heck of a lot harder to find here. We
Hmm.
do have natural grocers and Whole Foods and Sprouts, and they all do carry organic. And even grocery stores now, like the whole Kroger chain, which in LA is Ralph's, but it's in different names in other areas, and Safeway, they do carry some organic food. But the key is if you can eat it as close to the farm as possible, you get prime nutrients. Spinach, as an example, loses 30% of its essential nutrients in 3 days. Now, does that mean you shouldn't eat organic spinach that you can buy at Safeway? No. It means you eat what you can find, but if you can get it close to the farm, it has a bigger bang for your buck to give you health. So I just finally found a farmer's market that's an hour and a half away out in Prescott. We live in Sedona, and there's a big farm there, and I got to buy all their farm fresh produce. They don't do the abundance and the variety that California does, but hey, at least I could get a big variety there. Now, we're going into winter, so it's going to be interesting to find out how it changes. And the other thing I did here is I bought a tower that I'm growing vegetables on in my own house. It's in my dining room.
That's awesome.
And it gives me all different kinds of salad greens. So when I'm ready to make my salad, I go into the dining room and I clip my little leaves and I make my salad. And they're all different, so they all have different gifts. Some have red tinges to them, some are green, some have a blue tinge, and all of those have different gifts. The key is to eat a variety because the variety is really good for you. And I just finally figured out why we need to eat a variety and diversity. Our gut bacteria eat different things. So when we serve them diversity, they're happy because the one next to it might want something different to eat than the one that's eating that purple leaf. So we need to feed all of our gut bacteria because the seed of our health is in our gut.
Yeah, that's true. I was sick very once one time. I had a bad case of candida, and doctors couldn't figure it out. Fortunately, I found a natural health person, and Acidophilus was my friend. But you're right. We're not taught anything about how to create healthy gut. And, oh, take some acidophilus. Okay, well, that's good, but that's not really, that's more of a let's fix it than an everyday problem solution. So let's talk a little bit more about how do you know if your gut health is bad, and then how do we fix it?
Well, there actually is a test where they can test, do you have bad gut bacteria or do you have good gut bacteria? The bad guys are angry and they cause all kinds of trouble. So I only had a problem with bad gut bacteria once in this journey since I first got sick. I, silly me, bought some probiotic vegetable juice from a farm stand, thinking that would be really good for me. Well, I got a family of bad gut bacteria, unlike anything my functional doctor had ever seen.
Hmm.
And as a kid, I had had a lot of problems where I took a lot of antibiotics. So we couldn't find an antibiotic that my body would accept that would kill these little nasty devils. So it took, and Cipro is a really nasty antibiotic. And I did take Cipro for a short period of time, but I eventually took days of Echinacea golden seal, and that finally helped me clean it up.
Nice.
And oregano oil also help me clean it up. There are some natural things that can help you, but I try to avoid antibiotics now because while they're killing the bad guys, they're also killing the good guys. And I can't afford that to happen anymore. I like feeling good too much.
No, I absolutely agree. So, of course, I'm all about color. So I know what color means in my world. Tell us what the different colors mean in your world.
Color means everything to me because color is vibration.
Mhm.
So we have energy centers in our body called chakras. Each one of our chakras has a different vibration and a different color. And if you're out of, I've, I've decided that health is balance. So if our chakras are out of balance, then our health is out of balance. And you can actually feed the color that you're missing or that's low by eating that color of food. I think that's pretty amazing. We actually, I met a man on my journey because the guy I was with when I got sick didn't want to change. So I went looking for someone who wanted to go on a get well journey with me. And he ended up living 10 minutes away from me, right on the border of the town that I was living in. And I said to him in passing, after I married him because he was wonderful, that I would really like to own an Aura machine one day. So for my anniversary, he bought me a very expensive Aura machine. So if you come to me, I can actually get a reading of the colors and how strong your aura is, which is your chakras, which is a pretty amazing thing. Now, people will think that they need to be all in the blues and the purples, which are the spiritual colors, and that's not what you want. You want balance. And this machine actually measures balance. And then I have a color chart that I'll give you and go, you're missing this, and this. So you need to eat these things
Wow.
because when you return to balance, you return to wellness.
So do the different colors of food relate to different organs?
Yes, green, as an example, is really good for your heart. And so if you're low on green, that's not good for you. But you really want all the colors. But if you have a specific area that you're working on, you can increase that color to increase that vibration. Um, there are also phytonutrients. Each color is denoted by what kind of phytonutrients are in it, which are these special gifts that we never even knew were in plant foods. And so there are actually phytonutrients that can shoot darts at cancer cells, and different phytonutrients shoot darts at different kinds of cancer. It's an emerging science, and there is new information coming out about them all the time. And they're really fascinating. But we want to eat, if we're eating the blues and the purples, then we're getting things that are really good for our brain. And they now have determined, I just got certified by the American Brain Council to teach a course on dementia, because they have discovered that dementia is partially related to eating the standard American diet. So if you eat the rainbow, then you feed your brain health at the same time, which frankly, a brain is a terrible thing to to lose. And at 75, I do not intend to lose my brain. So that's just another great reason to be eating all the colors. And the purple, particularly the purple and the blue, and mushrooms, the white, they feed your brain power. But they also give you not only cognizance, but they give you better decision making and ability for your brain to function. Our whole body needs all these gifts, and green is for your heart. The sea vegetables, like what you get wrapped on your sushi in a sushi recipe, they're good for your throat because they're blue green. And that's the only food that has all the essential nutrients in it. Who knew? So I trying to get some sea vegetables into me is a little tricky. It's the one I have the hardest time getting. I do go for sushi, but I can't have soy. But I just found a fake soy sauce that's made with sea vegetables. So I take that with me to the sushi parlor. If you're eating yellow, then you're feeding your gut and your chakra that's in your middle, which helps your whole digestive system work better. If you're eating orange, especially as a woman, you're supporting all your female hormones. If you're eating red, those are all your basic needs. And that actually can shoot right down into the ground and pull up from the earth to help you be flourishing from the top down, because energy comes into our crown chakra, and from the bottom up, tapping into the center of the earth and filling our body. Energy comes out of our heart has as many brain neurons as our brain does. And I think that's fascinating too. So I'm actually working on something called heart math, where I quiet my brain and go into my heart, which is where gratitude, kindness, compassion, self love, and love live. And then that extends out of my body. And have you ever walked into a room and you can feel the energy, whether it's really positive or icky? Well, that's because your heart is picking up all that energy, and what's in you is filling that room, hopefully with positive energy. But there are people in there who've not been in any of the higher vibrations, and there's actually a whole chart that will show you what colors are each vibration. And the lower vibrations are things like anger and guilt and dissatisfaction and jealousy. And you don't want to live in those. You want to be up here in the gratitude and the compassion and the self love, because that's what pulls in all your hopes and desires into your life.
Yeah, that's
So
so
color becomes enormously successful on a multitude of levels.
that's so beautiful. That's so beautiful. And so let's talk about. I've got two friends that recently got diagnosed with cancer. So can we go a little bit more into those phyto that what was the word phyto
Fido, yeah.
cancer?
Well, I actually have a chart, but I don't have it memorized. But there are certain, if you get cancer, I have a whole list of foods that you can eat. I'm not telling you not to follow whatever your doctor wants you to do or whatever your decision is about how you want to approach your cancer, but I have a list of things that will help support your body as you go through the process, because no matter what medication you are put on, it only is mitigating whatever's wrong. It's not curing a thing. So, whatever you do, and if you choose to take medications, and I do still take a few, if you're choosing to take medications, don't just take the medication. Your doctor knows nothing about nutrition. Medical schools are run by the pharmaceutical companies, and yet you're responsible for what happens to your body. So support your body with the right foods at the same time that you're supporting your body with what he's recommending from the drug industry. I'm not telling you not to follow his directions. It's just he doesn't know to tell you to eat correctly or what those foods can do for you. And what I call it is eating from the pharmacy, Pharmacy, no matter whether or not you're taking things from the other pharmacy or not. And that's what builds your health from the inside out.
Absolutely. And it's weird to me that doctors are not taught anything about nutrition. I mean, I've heard since I was little, you are what you eat. And you can see, people who don't eat healthy, I mean, you literally can see it on their face. And they don't, if
They
you
don't know. And your vet, by the way, those are run by pet food companies, vet
oh,
schools. So they don't know anything about nutrition either.
no.
All of it, I have done so much research, and it really has opened my mind, not to say not to do things, but to support yourself, support your pets, support your body at the same time that you're doing them. They get at most a half a day on nutrition in medical school.
And it's such an integral part of our being.
It's frustrating. So have you ever had I had a weight problem, big weight problem when I got sick. I've lost 80 pounds without dieting just by eating real food because my body has returned to balance. I'm not done. I'm a work in progress, but wow, am I healthier than I was 10 years ago. But
Absolutely.
have you ever had a doctor say you need to lose weight? And you go, yeah, I know that. What should I do? Because I had tried every New York bestseller on the market, and I'd lose a little bit and then I'd gain back more. And they look at you and they go, they don't know.
No.
Eat less. Well, thank you very much. That doesn't help much. Eat real food and your body starts to return to balance. And one of the big things I found out about the standard American diet, which was shocking to me, I have two hormones, you have two hormones I never heard of. They're called leptin and ghrelin, and they control the signal that your brain gets as to whether or not you're full or not. So I used to eat a big Thanksgiving dinner. And then I'd be in the kitchen picking on the pumpkin pie, going, how can I still be eating? I just ate this enormous meal. Well, the signal was snuffed out. My body didn't have the ability to tell my brain I was full and to stop eating. And when you detox off all those chemicals and you get back your leptin and your ghrelin, you're not hungry like that anymore. I eat a normal amount of food and I'm done. And I don't even really care if I have sugar or a dessert or any of that stuff anymore because I broke the addiction to the sugar at the same time. So I really crave real food and my body thanks me when I can almost feel it going through my veins when I eat like a big salad with all different colors in it because my body's really happy. And I used to just eat literally crap. It was crap. But you heard what I call it. It's carbonated, artificial, refined, and processed. That's what my body thought it wanted. It did not want that food. It wants real food. And one of the things I do faithfully every morning, I get up and I look in the mirror and I go out loud, good morning, Cheryl. Have I told you yet today how much I love you? Because when you love yourself, it's not a bother to cook or to find real food to make your meals. When you love yourself, your whole life changes. And then the second question I ask my body is, how do you feel today? And I get quiet and I listen because symptoms That's how my body communicates with me.
Absolutely.
And if I have any inflammation of any kind, my body will start to yell at me. But I want to hear it when it's a light yell, not when it's screaming at me like it was when I got sick. I want to hear it right away and I want to react immediately because I'm not going back there. It was too god awful and I am not going back there. So I immediately am like a little computer. What did I do yesterday that my body is complaining? Because I'm not going to do that today and I'm going to overcome it by getting away from things that cause inflammation. And inflammation is one of the things that starts in your gut. And inflammation becomes chronic illness. And
Mm.
chronic illness is heart disease, lung disease, all the autoimmune diseases, and cancer in one big box. And that all comes from inflammation, which is a fire that literally starts in your gut. And when you put the fire out, is when your body starts to return to wellness. But you got to stop feeding the fire, and all that processed food is just throwing gasoline on the flames.
Absolutely. And I think, uh, you talk about the American diet, and we do have a lot of chemicals in our food, and a big chunk of our food is banned in the rest of the world. But if you go to Italy, they're still doing a lot of pasta, the wheats, the rich stuff. French food is very rich, but it doesn't seem to have the same effects as our
But they
food.
don't grow with all the chemicals. Italy and France were the two places I could almost eat anything.
Wow.
Um, and I have 19 sensitivities. So I translated them to Italy, to Italian when I went to Italy, and to French when I went to France. And the people we were traveling with went, they are not going to work around your idiosyncrasies. And at the first restaurant, he came over and said, Madame, I make you something fabulous. And I ate better than anybody else. They were all going, why didn't I just order what he was going to make you? But they're all farm to table, which we are not. Um, I told you I just moved to Sedona. I have 15 restaurants here I can walk in and eat something that's farm to table that's healthy for me. In LA, I would have had to have covered the total of Los Angeles, which is a very spread out city, to find that many restaurants that I could just walk into and eat. So that's one of the, I can't get the farm fresh food here, but I can go to restaurants and eat really easily here. I still cook most of my food because that's how I control what I put in my body. And I also will vet a restaurant before I walk anywhere near it. I call the chef and I ask him, what can he serve me with these sensitivities, knowing that I want to eat farm to table? And we negotiate. So they usually come out to meet me when I walk in the door.
That's so cool. I had interstitial cystitis for a while, which means I couldn't eat anything acidic. And it was very difficult because a squeeze of lemon on a salad or in anything would have me in pain. And some people cared and some people didn't care. But it's difficult eating out. So I like you actually call the chef and say, "This is what I got to deal with." That's amazing. That's wonderful.
And
Did you
that's
have
what I was asking. That was based on the question that I asked, and you actually kind of referred to it earlier, Carol, and everything. But I'm here in the South, in Durham, North Carolina, and I know we've got a very active farm to table movement. So I just wanted your take on the farm to table movement because it's very big here in the South because there's a lot of farmland here in southern part of the United States and everything. So I know it's been a big movement here, but I just wanted your take on this farm to table movement.
Farmland can be tricky because industrial agriculture means what they're spraying on our food is really disgusting. And it's not just glyphosate, which is Roundup, although that, even though they know that causes cancer, they're still spraying it on our food. But there's like 9 of them from different chemical companies that are causing brain dysfunction in our children and all kinds of issues. And GMO, which I had said I knew nothing about when I got sick, means it's one of two things, and they're not pretty. One means the plant is grown with Bt toxin right in it. Now, what does Bt toxin do? Well, when the bug bites it, it blows him up. Sounds like a good idea. It also blows up all our good gut bacteria. Bad idea. And it's causing, have you noticed how all of our children have lots more allergies than they did when we were young? It's because of Bt toxin. Bt toxin is causing all kinds of allergies, and it starts at conception. And it comes from the man and the woman in the baby. And they're being born with allergies right out of the popper. So that's a problem. You don't want to be eating GMO corn. And most conventional animals are being fed conventional corn, and that's not what they were put on this earth to eat. They were put on this earth to eat. If they're a cow, they got two stomachs. They're supposed to be eating grass. They're not supposed to be eating GMO corn. And then the other kind of GMO is Roundup Ready, which means they're getting drenched in Roundup. Our every wheat product that you buy that is not organic has been literally drenched in Roundup because the wheat gets so in apoplexy, it throws out more fronds, so they get a bigger yield. But none of that gets washed off, and all of those cancerous chemicals go right into your body.
Wow.
So, wow, that's when I really started getting angry. Why was my government not protecting me? And frankly, it's because too much money, honey.
Too
So
much money.
you have to educate yourself, and you have to take responsibility for what you put in your body, because you too can reverse all kinds of chronic illness if you are very mindful of the fact that your future health is really important to you, and you want to make sure everything you put in your body is going to support that.
That makes a lot of sense. Jeanette, I didn't tell you this, but when I went to visit Dad, my dad had a recent heart procedure and everything, and he has been very much into swimming and everything. So he's very much exercise oriented. He was actually glad to go to the rehab center because he put in the hospital food at the prestigious hospital here in Durham was not the best food. He barely could eat
Hospital food
it.
is
People
awesome.
people went out to get him better food, and now he's in a rehab center that has better food just in general and everything. But yeah, the hospital food totally sucked and everything. But he did chastise me because I've got a little bit of a gut, and he was basically saying that I needed to do what he's doing because, as he put it, I probably won't be able to survive what he's been through because I'm not the most exercise oriented person. So I do need to do better with my exercise and my diet. So I take what Dad said to heart because I know that's something I need to improve on as well and everything. But sure, pivoting slightly, I have a couple questions for you. I am a fan of two types of olives. I'm turn it back over to Jeanette. I love both black olives and green olives and everything. I think I like the black olives better than the green. I was just wondering, what is your take on the colors of olives? Because when I think of olives, those are the two colors that you can put on your salad. Like I said, I think that I'm a bigger fan of the black versus the green, but that's a fruit that has two different colors. I was wondering which one is
Yeah, no,
better.
you want fruit. You want fruit and vegetables. Sorry, I was having a little hard time hearing everything that you said. But
So
you do want fruit and vegetables. One of the big things that ultra processed food takes out of our food is fiber.
Mhm.
And you get your fiber from fruits and vegetables. So not only are you getting different gifts from all the different colors, but you desperately need that fiber. And I started a list of all the things that fiber does for our body and why we so desperately need it. It's how our livers, which are our detox organs, they're responsible for detoxing everything that goes in our body through our skin and everything else. Our liver gets the fiber, the toxins jump on the fiber, and that's how they get out of our body. The fiber, when our gut bacteria eat all that beautiful stuff, the phytonutrients attach to the fiber. And our vagal nerve is also in our gut, which is the superhighway of the body. And so the fiber goes over to our vagal nerve, and then it can send up to our brain, which turns on all our happy hormones. We've got a depression problem right now in our country, and it's because of what we're eating, which is snuffing out all of our happy hormones. So this is turning on all our happy hormones, but it also, the vagal nerve sends all those wonderful phytonutrients to every organ and every cell in our body.
that's so cool. I know I had my gallbladder out when I was young, and they didn't have any. I didn't know enough back then. I wouldn't have done it now, but back then the doctor said, "Oh, you need to take it out." But there is things like you just said, eat more fiber creates a healthier liver, which I would imagine in return creates a healthier gallbladder since they're related. And the liver, when it gets messed up, it is miserable. You are in a lot of, 'cause it's got over 500 functions. So you want to keep that liver clean. You want to keep that
And your
liver
gallbladder is not a throwaway part.
not.
They sort of act like it is. There's a supplement that I'll send to you that you should take that will
Okay.
help replace the enzymes you lost when they took out your gallbladder
Is
because
it
it
the,
emulsifies fat.
yeah. And since it's been harder to lose weight since I got rid of it. So. Is it the bile, the ox bile?
It's the ox bile. Yeah.
Okay, I have some ox bile. I find it really hard to take it because I can't
I
swallow.
have two different kinds that you can try. Maybe you're taking one and there's another one you can try as well.
We can talk about that for sure. Because I don't swallow pills. I have to take them apart, and it really does taste like bile. I mean, there's a lot of pills I hear people say, "Oh, it's too easy." I'm like, "Yeah, I got it," but it really does taste like bile, and it's really hard to. You
Yeah,
can't
no, I'd have a hard time with that too.
you can't disguise the taste. Is there another way of making it besides the
Yeah,
powder?
I'll send you the notes. I did a podcast on the liver and the gallbladder when I was doing
Oh,
podcasts. So I
fantastic!
just looked up the notes for somebody else who just had her gallbladder removed. So I've got it handy.
Cool. Yeah, there's so much that our bodies can do when they're given the right nutrients, and it is very difficult. You go to the grocery store. How many aisles are dedicated to good food, and how many aisles are dedicated to crap? I mean, it's scary. And even going out
You
to eat.
stay on the outside of the grocery store. You don't go up and down the aisles because that's where all the cruddy stuff is. And believe it or not, if I go up and down the aisles now, the smell of sugar is overwhelming to me. I can't stand it. So it's easy for me to stay on the outskirts now.
Yeah, I look at all the cookies and cakes and stuff that I used to really enjoy. I'm like, I never was big on some of them, but I'm like, yeah, I don't want that. It just doesn't even look good anymore. Now if I do go get something, I go to like a real bakery or something, or I make it myself. But a lot of that processed sugar, I'm just like, yeah, I don't want it. It doesn't even taste good.
No. Well, once you get pulled away from it a little bit, you start tasting it for what it really is.
Yeah. Last time I went to In-N-Out, California here, that's like the ultimate, right? I don't think they've got the best burgers around. They have the best fast food burgers. I'll give them that. But they can't compare with a restaurant.
No. No.
But
And the only fast food that I ever eat is Chipotle
oh yeah,
because they do try to source more responsibly than all the other guys.
that's cool. But the last hamburger I had, the bread just tasted like cardboard. I'm like, ew. And I love bread. Okay, when I had interstitial cystitis and I couldn't eat bread, we'd go out to eat, and I'd ask my husband, "Is it worth the pain?" And then put the bread on the table, and I would eat it because I love bread and I miss it tremendously. But when I tasted that bread, I was just like, ugh. The farmer's market, I go to the same farmer's market that you did, and there's a guy there that has the most amazing bread. It doesn't have yeast in it, and it doesn't have any sugar, and
In
it
my
is,
favorite bread place in your neck of the woods is Seed, which is in Pasadena.
I don't know them.
He's a bakery that uses all heirloom grains
Oh, I'll check it out. Cool. Very
and Erewhon, world's most expensive
right.
grocery store, but their breads are worth the trip.
Nice. So, we're comparing notes on our little towns because we know each other that, we're that close. But how do you find places where you can get the good food? Let's, do you go online? You said you had a
I'm going to start teaching a everything you ever wanted to know about food but didn't know who to ask class in a membership group
okay.
that I rolled out once and everybody who took the class went, it's way too much information. So instead of making it shorter, it's gotten longer because I keep collecting stuff And I've gotten really geeky about all these facts that I didn't know before. So I'm going to roll it out in half-hour videos once a week
I
and
love
give
it.
everybody access to ask me questions because I've become like the little Wikipedia of everything you ever needed to know about food. But you can go online and search for how do you find farmers markets in your area, and it will pop up. There are also a couple of delivery systems. They're not as close to the farm as I would prefer, but there's something called Imperfect Food and
Hmm.
another one called Misfits. And then there are some others around the country where they will actually deliver farm fresh food right to your doorstep.
Nice.
And you get to choose what you want in your box. You can choose whether it's organic or not organic. So you get to tailor what they bring to you. And then there's a couple that come directly from the farm. Misfits and Imperfect, they all have like little hiccups. So it's not going to be a perfectly straight cucumber. It's a cucumber that has the little notch in it. But I don't care. It all tastes the same. So that didn't matter to me. But there is one that just ships you their perfect stuff right from the farm. And those are around the country as well. So you're going to have to let your fingers do the walking. You want to eat in the season if possible. And why is that? Because when you're eating in the season, you're eating things that are in tune with where your body is at that moment in time. So it's got the best nutrients to support you. Like right now, we're just going into the fall. So different things are coming out and in abundance. And when you eat in season, it's supply and demand. You're buying what was just picked. And so it's in its biggest amount, so it's at its lowest price for all of the people out there going, I can't afford to do this. Well, yeah, you can, and there's ways to do it, but you've got to figure out how to do it the best. If you go to farmers markets, sometime at the end of the day, they'll sell things off for less because they don't want to take them home. They already picked them. They brought them to market. They don't want to take them back to the farm. What are they going to do with them? So sometimes they will start to sell them for less. So walk around your market at different times. Sometimes there's more variety early, so then you decide that's worth it to you. And sometimes there's better prices late. And so that's when you hit the farmer's market. But all of those things become important. You buy local as much as possible. That not only gets you closer to the farm, but it supports your local community. And you want to support your local communities. So that gets exciting because then you're actually putting your money into something that's going to return to you because it's going into that community. And then my class goes into how to afford it, how to pick it. I did not know how to pick the best peach that tasted good. I was sick of mealy peaches that didn't taste right. Well, I now know how to pick them. So I'm going to teach everybody how to pick it and how sometimes it gets stored, which is why it's at the wrong temperature. And when you get it from the grocery store, it's icky. You know how to look for things. And then how you store it when you get it home makes a big difference. And what you store it by. Bananas will cause everything to go by really quickly because they off gas. And so
Mm.
you don't want to put bananas near anything else. They'll make your potatoes grow ice. They'll make your tomatoes go bad. You don't want to put them near those things.
Wow.
Or do you put it on the middle shelf in the grocery store, or in the crisper drawer in your refrigerator, or on the door, which is the warmest part of your refrigerator? I'm going to cover all that stuff, and then I'm going to get down to how many toxins are on that food. There used to be a fabulous website that did little charts that not only told you how many toxins were on it, like a potato had something like 58 toxins on it if it's not organic. And one of them is really dangerous because it's the one that makes the eyes not grow. You don't want that in your body. But they ran out of money, so they transferred their whole database over to EWG. But now it's like this massive thing of numbers and it's really not user friendly at all. But I cut out all those little things. So where I have it on my PowerPoint slides, I can tell you how many toxins are on a cherry tomato, which is one of the dirtiest things you can buy, and all that stuff. And then I'll tell you what the essential nutrients are that are in it. And after we go through all that, which will probably be into year 2, I have a whole list of all the essential nutrients and what they do for your body. And I've been keeping a giant chart on phytonutrients so
Wow.
that, and that changes continually. They keep finding out more stuff. So I keep adding to my chart. But it's everything you ever needed to know if you want to really learn to eat real food for your health. I recommend that when I'm taking the class on how to do the membership right after this podcast, and then I will roll it out probably starting in the beginning of January, and it will just run forever. And the tapes will be available if you're a member of the group. And so if you've missed some that are important, you can go back and watch them. And I'm going to make myself available for like a half an hour once a week so that whatever you want to know, because I have clients who call me all the time and go, okay, I'm at the grocery store. Can I eat this? And I would say, take a picture of the label. I don't know what you're holding. And then, generally they're asking because they know they're not supposed to eat it.
Right?
So that's become a big joke with me. But no, I want to be accessible so that I can answer everybody's questions. This is the way I live, and it's worth it. So I want to share that with everybody.
So tell us a little bit about your retreat that's coming up as well.
I've been working on this retreat, and it's the first one's going to be sometime in March of next year. And I have completely reformatted it. So it was going to just be a 2-day thing here in the Sedona area. Now it's going to be 4 days. And the theme is still going to be Wonderland because I'm in love with all the quotes in the Alice in Wonderland books because nothing is impossible unless you think it is. And so there's going to be all kinds of little Wonderland things that happen during the retreat. But the main focus of the retreat is going to be self-love. I met my soulmate because I looked for someone who would go on a get well journey with me. So I actually took some classes that taught me how to find him. But it starts with self love. Everything starts with that. Just like health begins with food, everything that you want in your life starts with self love. And by loving yourself, that's how you attract somebody because you show them how to love you. You stop settling for the wrong guy. God, did I settle for a whole bunch of those? So we're going to work on why you need to love yourself, how to build that up. And I just became something called a Psych-K facilitator, which is a program where I can help you go into your subconscious and remove all your blocks that were programmed by the time you were 7 by the adults in your life. So if you have a hard time losing weight, you can reprogram that you can lose weight. And I now know how to facilitate that. I'm taking the advanced course end of November, but my husband's also going to become a facilitator so that everybody will get some private time with whatever their blocks are. But it's going to be on self-love, it's going to be on toxic relationships and not settling, and then it's going to be self-love for success because if you don't love yourself, it will impact every relationship in your life. And so it's going to be like an intensive 4-day love. But we're going to have a mocktail party, and I've named cocktails after all the Alice in Wonderland characters. And we're going to have a tea party on the last day where you get your own Mad Hatter hat. And you're going to eat healthy food. I have found a woman in town who's going to cook to all my recipes all the food that I want you to understand you will not be deprived eating the way that I eat. Um, so it's going to be like an immersive into health. And my husband does Tao yoga all the time. We have a pool. We overlook wide open U.S. property, U.S. forestry property, 15 minutes south of Sedona. So not only are you close to all the spectacular red rocks, which are almost a wonder of the world, but we're between 2 Native American sites that are incredible here on top of a mountain. One is where the Indians until the 1400s built all their houses right into the red rock and then pulled up the ladder if they were being attacked. And it looks like maybe 2 families could have fit in there, but there were hundreds of people that lived in that mountain when they were under attack. It's really fascinating, and I'm in the desert, but there are streams and creeks here called Beaver Creek and Verde Valley River. So the Native American sites are all somewhere close to water. Um, Sedona itself is fantastic. We'll go out to dinner one night, but you'll have all day Sunday on your own to explore. And I have a whole list of where to eat and where to go. One of the neat things about Sedona is that there are vortexes here, and
Yes.
there are female and male vortexes. Female vortexes go counterclockwise, and
Mm.
male vortexes go clockwise. You release the past in a female vortex, and you manifest the future in a male vortex.
Very
And the
cool.
trees actually turn in the direction of the vortex.
Wow.
So
So
there are some really neat places to go to see that.
what does it mean the trees turn?
The trunk actually
Oh,
shows how it's twisting.
okay. Very, very cool. Very,
So
very.
it's an interesting area to be, which is we were attracted because we were doing Tao yoga at home, and they have a 150-acre retreat center here that's just outside of Sedona, and John has gotten very involved with that. So it's
Nice.
fun because he's learning from one point of view and I'm learning from another, and then we come together at night and we share it all with each other.
That's
So we
so
will both be doing the retreats, but everybody will get their aura taken so they'll know how well they're in balance. I have something called a PEMF pad, which
mhm.
is a vibration pad that's a very high end. It's got goggles that do lights and sound that do um, the things that go into your theta waves. So not only can we help you reprogram, but the theta waves is the state you want to be in so that you can reprogram as well. So we've got all kinds of cool things. We have a glass pool that's outside that overlooks this incredible view. So it's a fun place to be. And believe it or not, I have a mini golf course. I have a little putting green. Neither of us play golf. So I bought flamingo clubs and hedgehog balls, and I'm going to make up my own game, and we can go down there and play some kind of form of croquet and be right in the Alice in Wonderland spirit. So it's going to be zany and fun and packed with knowledge so that I'm hoping that it will be transformational for everyone who comes.
It sounds truly amazing. So you guys don't want to miss any of this. I mean, and the knowledge that she has, you've just seen a little bit, and she has so much more. I mean, we've barely been talking an hour, and it's already almost gone. So I want to talk. I want you to tell us, how do we get hold of you? How do we get on the mailing list for this class you're coming up on? Tell us a little bit more about you.
You can write to me. Let's see. Yes, you'll see under my right over me is Cheryl M. Health Muse, all together, no spaces, at gmail.com. We'll put you into my email. .com will take you to my website. The first page of my website will take you to the magazine I published last year, which is all different avenues to holistic health, because health is a journey. And the one that I took may not be completely the way you want to get there, but I give you all different perspectives in the magazine. My functional doctor wrote an article, my naturopath wrote an article, a woman who runs Chemo Buddies, because community is number one for health. And she didn't want anyone to go through cancer alone, so she wrote on the power of community. A woman who went through the Tao Retreat Center here, who'd had 2 botched back surgeries, and said she thought her life was over with the pain, but when she got into holistic healing, that's where her life began. I have a friend who's an environmental toxin expert who's created a cleaning supply that is plant enzymes. So I love it because I have kitties and I don't want them getting poisoned either. And it won't hurt them, so I can clean my toilets and all my floors and my counters and everything with her product. And she has a Ditch the Toxin class that she offers in the magazine that's not terribly expensive, but you can go through your whole house. And what you want to do is get them out of your house, even if you haven't replaced them yet, because they off gas. And just sitting under your sink or in your cupboard, they're poisoning you. And she explains all that. And then I wrote How to Be a Toxin Detective, how I went in and looked up In the beginning, I looked up every single ingredient of everything I was using. Ends up you don't have to do that. You just start at the bottom, and when you hit something really poisonous, you got to find something better. And you don't even have to replace it right on the spot because that could be expensive. I'll send you a workbook if you buy my book that tells you what I did, and you can write it down so when you run out of the old icky one, you already know at your fingertips what you want to replace it with.
Nice.
So, how to be a toxin detective if you want to do the work yourself is right in the magazine. And then I talk about how I vet a restaurant. I talk about children's health. I didn't have children, but 54% of our kids are already sick. And it's because of the food that we're feeding them. And that's not right. So I talk about how to get them to eat real food.
What we consider food is such junk. Chicken nuggets and hot dogs. I'm like,
Yeah.
hey, we poisoning them.
It's poisoning them, and we're robbing our children of their future.
Yeah.
And kids don't know even where food comes from. I read an article in the Washington Post that kids think chocolate milk comes from brown cows. That's a pretty frightening thing.
Yes.
Or that animals lay avocados. So one of my suggestions, my second book has a whole section on how to raise healthy children, and it's also got a whole section on how to have healthy pets, because all three of my cats died when I was working on my health, and it finally occurred to me they were living in a toxic soup too. So I did all the research about what goes into pet food and how to know if your pet has sensitivities, because you don't want to be giving them drugs. Like, we don't want to be taking drugs. They can't handle them either. And what a holistic vet is, it's kind of like a functional doctor. They'll do the holistic approach first. What plants they should be around and not around. And it's different for cats and dogs. So all that stuff is in my second book so that it's a place to start. So that
Nice.
all of you could lead the healthiest possible life that you can. But at any rate, my website is SherylMHealthMood.com. It will direct you right to my magazine. And under my magazine are 2 free flip books. One is on my desktop guide to stress, because I had no cortisol left in my body when I got sick. So every day I stop at 10 and at 2 and I do stress exercises, because we all have stress, but you don't want it to get toxic like mine was. And then I wrote a book called It's Not Complicated How to Eat, because somebody who took my class said, why should I believe you instead of anybody else? Why? Because I got a whole bunch of people that have gotten well eating the way I recommend. But I break it down into really simple language, right down to what quality protein means and what fiber does for you and why you need all the colors and what the different colors offer your body as gifts. And why not to eat the standard American diet. I share with you all the icky stuff that's in that. And it is disgusting. So, and we're being gaslighted because everybody's in on it.
Yeah.
Media's in on it because they make all their money from big food, big farm, big agriculture. The senators and all of that are in on it because there are lobbyers that are after them, taking care of all those big businesses. Big health insurance is in on it because they want us to be sick, because that's how they make all their money. Medical schools are in on it. They put out fake studies that are paid for by all these big companies. And what I didn't know is Philip Morris at one point owned all the processed food companies. So they used the same playbook that they used for cigarettes to get us hooked. And at some point, people sort of got wise to that. So they told everyone they divested and they sold it all. They failed to mention they still run the boards of all those companies. So they're still in charge. So you need to know all this so that you know that you're being gaslighted and that you start to follow people that will give you information. One of my favorite books is by a guy named Dr. Michael Greger, and he wrote a book called How Not to Die. And it's a great book, and he has a very charming personality, and he runs a site called nutrition.org. And if any studies come out, he will talk about the studies, because there's not a lot of studies on food because there's no money for little farmers that are making the real thing. It's the big food companies that have all the money. But every morsel of proven science that he can get, he shares.
Wow, that's amazing. So I want to give you one last word or one last thought.
My last thought is own your own health and don't let anybody take that power away from you. Your doctor will say, who's in charge here? I'm the educated one. He is educated, and certainly you want to use him as a resource. But follow your own instincts, listen to your body, and do your own research because you have the power to create health in your life and in your body. And they can't help you do that because they don't learn that. So you have to join the two together. Take responsibility for you and become your own advocate. When I was doing my podcast, I did 50 where I interviewed other people who got sick because people were saying to me, it's all fine and well, you did that, but I can't do that. So I found somebody with different cancers and somebody who had multiple autoimmune diseases, somebody who had heart disease. And I interviewed them because they all figured it out, changed their lifestyle habits, and returned to wellness. And you need to know that it's not just me. People all over the country are doing it. You're just not hearing about it because media is not covering it.
It's so true. Thank you so much for coming on today. It was wonderful. I'm sorry we're already out of time.
I'm sorry, I talk a lot. I get
No,
excited.
it was wonderful. You get so much information, and I know we just scratched the surface. So please go to her website, CherylMHealthNews.com, and check out what she's doing because she is very prolific, and it's all
And the
gonna.
stress exercises only take 3 to 4 minutes each. So they're real easy to fit into your day.
Awesome. Awesome. So on that note, we usually finish the show with Kendo Spice because we want you to have healthy spices in your world. And it's another way to make you healthy. So thank you so much, Carol. And
Thank
we'll
you
go,
for having me, Jeanette. It was fun.
it was fun. All right. So Kendo Spice is coming. Well, it's getting there. So have you looked at spices? Is there stuff in spices that we should be
Oh,
aware of?
God, yes.
Okay.
But organic spices are one place that's a little bit problematic because organic spices sometimes have little critters in them.
Oh
So
no.
you try to buy organic. I do buy organic when I can, but Penzeys, which is the big spice company, warned me that it wasn't necessarily the best possible thing for my health. So there are two sides to that.
Yeah, there's often two sides to many things. It's like electric cars. Is it a bigger footprint or is it a lesser footprint?
And
And
you do the best you can do with all of it, and you don't get twisty. You
right,
just keep adding healthy habits one at a time.
absolutely. Absolutely. And one at a time. I like that because it can be daunting to just like one day, okay, I'm just gonna throw away all my processed foods. I'm just gonna throw away all my cleaners, but you haven't
Yeah,
done the
and you bought me some great spices. Thank
that's
you.
the Kendu spice. That's the
Yeah.
Kendu spice, and they're so amazing. I love them. Um, and she's a big proponent, just like us. Food is everything, and so she's very careful about what she puts in there. Um, so, Mark, are you around? Are we ready for Kendu spice? Mm. Oh, we get to talk longer. But you said you had another call. Did you need to go, Cheryl?
Sorry, I'm having a little hard time hearing all of a sudden.
Got some echo. Um, you said you had another call after this. Are
I
you
have a class that I'm taking, but we have time.
okay?
I'm okay.
Okay, cool. So it's unusual for Mark to be missing at this point. So I'm not sure what's going on, and maybe we just need to do our own thing. But we have some time, so if we can fill it, if you want. So yeah, the spices are, and I've also heard they hide sugar in the spices. Do you know anything about?
Sometimes.
And yeah, so you think you're going sugar free, and spice is such a minute part of most recipes that you don't think much about it. But if there's sugar in it, it's still sugar. And if you're
Right.
going to
And
sugar,
spices are also loaded with phytonutrients. So
okay,
they're an important part of the diversity that you add to your diet.
okay, yeah. I mean, turmeric alone, and that's something that's not really in the American diet. It's in the Indian diet tremendously, in a lot of Asian diets, but it's not really something we put in the American diet very much. And it helps with inflammation and so many other things. Do
Right.
you have a favorite spice or a couple favorite spices?
I use garlic powder and onion powder and everything.
Okay,
And then for pepper, I use something from Primal Seasonings that's called steak seasoning, which is a pepper mixture
okay,
with sea salt. So I
nice.
call that my secret sauce. And then salt, I buy from a little Italian restaurant down in Laguna Niguel, and
Yeah.
it's called Salmonella or Salmonella Semina. It's an Italian Sicilian sea salt that
Ooh,
has other herbs in it, which is good because it cuts down how much salt's in the bottle, but
right.
it adds that salty flavor with other herbs.
And our bodies actually need salt.
Our
Like
bodies do need salt.
no salt thing, no salt thing. But the thing is, like your typical table salt, that stuff is horrible for you because they've taken the good stuff out. But if you can get real salt, that's really good for you. In fact, our bodies require it. I did an iodine supplement thing for a while, and actually, it really helped me during COVID. I swear that's why I didn't get COVID the first year because I didn't. And I was taking the iodine every day, and you have to take it with some other vitamins. Um, but I didn't get sick. When I stopped taking it, that's when I got sick. But because it
If you
helped,
eat the sea vegetables for your
yeah,
throat, you
that's got
also are getting iodine from the sea vegetables.
yes, and it's good. I know Sprouts has. You can buy just the packages. They have them little packages, or you can buy them in big sheets, and they're really
Right.
good.
And there's even snacks made out of that.
Yeah. So they're very good. I mean, it's the first time you taste it, you're kind of like, oh, okay, but actually, it gets addictive. Once your body says, oh, this is real food, you really don't even want the other stuff anymore. Although I have to
Yeah.
admit, I like my ice cream.
Yeah, your body will start to ask for the good stuff.
It will. It will. So I've been doing a diet that's slowly taking away all the bad stuff. And instead of just cutting everything off cold turkey, it's too hard. But by just saying, okay, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do this,
Yeah, you
it
want
makes
to take
it
steps.
easier,
Every step you
right?
take towards wellness will serve you well. Because by the time you get to your future body, you will have put all the steps in place. So don't get yourself frustrated. You don't need the stress of that. You
No.
just one by one add the healthy habits.
And
And I have 20 of them in my magazine
yeah,
of all the things you can do that are lifestyle habits that will impact your body.
very cool. And it is as you learn more about what to replace, getting the right salt, that's an easy change, you know? But like you said, you got to do the research. You got to go find these places. Hey, Mark,
There he is.
maybe not. There he is. There he is.
Kick me out now on the bus, but I'm going to end it and everything. Hold on.
So, Mark, we're ready for Can Do Spice. We've been talking about spices for the last 10 minutes. We're ready for Can Do Spice. We can't hear him. All right. Well, Cheryl, I think we're just going to shut down. But I know you've got another thing to go to, and I have another thing to go to. So, thank you again so much. It's been a
Thank you
pleasure.
for having me. It's fun to do it with you, and it's
Yeah,
been a great conversation.
it has. It has. Thank you again, and I'll look forward to hearing more about your class.
And follow me on Facebook because I announce all this stuff there.
Oh yeah, her Facebook. I love her Facebook feed. I don't know if you went to a class on how.
You know how people love to enjoy food? and don't understand how to flavor their food or how to replicate a meal? They're interested in supplements but don't know where to begin? Well, what I do is I take the guesswork out of enjoying flavor and wellness with my flavorful spice blends so that they can create delicious meals with healing benefits. Can Do Spice was created to help cooks at any level enjoy healing through food. Every spice blend was designed to give added health benefits of natural herbs. Every blend is complete. There's no need to add any additional spice for a delicious meal. Saving you time and money while adding supplements to your meals can be both tasty and fun. My earliest memories in the kitchen began with my father, Kenny Can Do Bond, so it was fitting that I would name this line after him. I have always looked to natural remedies to supplement the body, and I found myself hiding herbs and minerals in foods for my family. That's when it hit me. Everyone needs Can Do Spice. Everyone should be having this. It's an exclusive brand for cooks at any level who want to create flavorful dishes with healing benefits that can satisfy the body and soul. Add a little spice to your life. Give Can Do Spice a try.